Be honest, unless you never did your own research, you knew NTE was never meant to be an anime GTA. The problem is that somewhere along the way, the internet collectively decided that every anime game with cars, city streets, and traversal mechanics automatically had to become anime GTA. And once that label attached itself to NTE, people stopped evaluating the game for what it actually was and started judging it based on a fantasy they created in their own head. That single comparison completely distorted the conversation surrounding this game before most people even touched it. And honestly, I think a lot of this happened because the community desperately wanted Ananta before Ananta was actually ready to release. The internet doesn't categorize games based on what they actually are anymore. It categorizes them based on emotional shorthand. City plus cars plus anime aesthetics equals anime GTA. That's literally how the discussion formed. People saw modern streets, vehicle systems, urban traversal, open world exploration, and instantly projected an entirely different genre identity onto NTE. But if you actually paid attention to the marketing, the tone, the world building, and the systems being shown from the beginning, NTE was always presenting itself as something much closer to an urban fantasy RPG with supernatural themes, anomaly investigation, lifestyle systems, and structured gacha progression. Not a physics sandbox crime simulator. Not an enemy chaos GTA Online. Not a superhero sandbox. That was always Ananta's lane. And this is where the discussion gets weird, because Ananta was always a game that more closely resembled what people kept calling anime GTA. The unrestricted traversal, the sandbox energy, the chaotic systems, the exaggerated mobility, the heavy multiplayer focus, the open-ended world interaction. That was always the identity being shown. But Ananta wasn't ready yet. So the community projected all of those expectations onto NTE simply because it was arriving first. And now you have people criticizing NTE for not being something it never actually marketed itself as in the first place. That's not a game design issue, that's an expectation issue. NTE was always built around a completely different identity. The core appeal isn't unrestricted sandbox chaos. It's atmosphere, it's urban immersion, it's supernatural mystery. It's stylish anime roleplay mixed with structured RPG systems and social lifestyle mechanics. The game constantly emphasizes anomalies, narrative presentation, immersive environments, cinematic combat, progression systems, businesses, housing, social aesthetics. The DNA of the game was always much closer to interactive urban fantasy anime than anime GTA sandbox simulator. And honestly, I think a lot of people ignored that because anime GTA was simply the more viral comparison. It was easier content, easier marketing, easier engagement bait, but easier labels don't always produce accurate conversations. And this honestly connects to a much larger issue in gaming culture right now. People don't experience games directly anymore. They experience games through algorithms, comparison culture, tribalism, reaction content, viral narratives. Instead of asking, what is the game trying to be? People ask immediately, what can I compare this to? And once the comparison becomes viral enough, it starts overriding the actual identity of the game itself. That's exactly what happened here. NTE stopped being evaluated as NTE. It became the game that failed to become anime GTA, even though that was never its actual design philosophy to begin with. At the end of the day, I think both NTE and Ananta can coexist perfectly fine because they are clearly chasing very different experiences. One leans heavily into immersive urban fantasy RPG systems, the other leans far more into sandbox freedom and large-scale traversal chaos. And honestly, that's a good thing for players. But maybe the bigger lesson here is that we need to stop forcing games into viral comparison boxes before we even allow them to establish their own identity. Because the moment people become more attached to the narratives than the actual games themselves, discourse completely falls off. But let me know what you think. Did the internet completely mislabel NTE from the start, or do you still think the anime GTA comparison makes sense? I'll see you guys in the next video.